Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. This Property is Condemned is a 1966 America drama film that was directed by Sidney Pollack. It starred Natalie Wood, Robert Redford, Kate Reed, Charles Bronson, Robert Blake, and Mary Badham. The screenplay was inspired by a 1946 one-act play that had the same name by Tennessee Williams, and it was written by Francis Ford Coppola, Fred Coe, and Edith Summer. The movie is noted for its song Wish Me a Rainbow, written by Jay Livingston and Ray Evans. It can be heard at the beginning and the end of the film. Quite a few other artists have done covers for this song, including Ed Ames and Lawrence Welk. The storyline goes that amid the Great Depression, a teenage girl named Willie Starr recounts a recent chapter of her family's life in Dodson, Mississippi, centered around the now condemned boarding house where she resides alone. Following her father's abandonment, her mother, Hazel Starr, was compelled to open the boarding house as a means of survival. In order to attract boarders, Hazel exploited the charm of her elder daughter, Alva Starr. Alva embraced this role with the hope of meeting a wealthy man that would whisk her away to New Orleans, a city that she longed to visit, and the person being someone she could genuinely love rather than a source of financial support. Her mother tried to push her towards the richest boarder there, a married man named Gerard Johnson, who was significantly older than Alva. J.J. Nichols, who's Hazel's boyfriend and also a boarder at the Starr house, was drawn to that house by Alva and remained there for that same reason. Suddenly, a mysterious young man named Owen Leggett arrives for a short stay. After he arrives, the Starr family and the townspeople discover that he was a railroad executive from New Orleans who was tasked with reviewing personnel records to determine which employees would face layoffs that were coming due to an economic downturn. This created chaos in the Starr family because it would jeopardize their livelihood at the boarding house. Despite all of this, Alva found herself attracted to this character of Owen, who perhaps, because he saw beyond her superficial allure, recognized that there was nothing more than a frightened young woman underneath. Willie, at the end of the film, concludes her narrative by pondering whether Alva and Owen achieved their version of a happy ending, despite Hazel's relentless interference. The film rights were owned by Ray Stark of Seven Arts Productions, who had enjoyed a big success making another Tennessee Williams writing, Night of the Iguana. This script, as I said earlier, was written by Francis Ford Coppola, who was under contract with Seven Arts. He had also directed the play in college. The movie was originally going to star Elizabeth Taylor and be directed by Richard Burton, who had been in that film, Night of the Iguana. But Taylor and Burton eventually dropped out of the project. Ray Stark offered the job of producing to John Houseman. It was the first film Houseman had produced where he had joined the project after the lead star had already been selected and the script had already been written. When I say already written, I do that with an asterisk by it, because this film is remembered as one of the most troubled productions ever done. The biggest problem was that filming had started without a finished script, which meant constant rewrites. And Natalie Wood even recalled that the actors a lot of the time would make up dialogue on the spot because the scripted dialogue was unusable. Despite all the production problems that they had, and the fact that Tennessee Williams didn't like the movie version of his writing, Natalie Wood, Robert Redford, and Sidney Pollack were all really satisfied with the outcome of the production. I have to tell you, this is a good film, and if you've never seen it, you need to do yourself a favor. It is very well done. The direction is superb, the acting is top-notch, and I guarantee you it's an enjoyable watch. Filming took place on the coast of Mississippi and in New Orleans. In Mississippi, the locations were Pass Christian and Bay St. Louis. The movie is set in the early Depression era, and the wall calendar in the local railroad office shows the date of August 14th, but it doesn't reveal the year. That particular date combination occurred in both 1931 and 1936. In Williams' original story, the automobiles in the film and many other aspects suggest it was actually 1931. However, the characters end up seeing a movie called One Way Passage, which wasn't released until 1932. This was supposed to be a prestige picture for Natalie Wood after a string of flops that would mark her comeback as a serious actress. However, the movie was met with public and critical indifference, causing Wood to retreat from Hollywood, and she wouldn't make another film for 3 years. It's interesting that Kate Reid, who plays Natalie Wood's mother in the movie, is only 8 years older than Wood actually was. And Wood was struggling with some personal issues during the filming of the movie, but her relationship with the other actors and actresses was really good. At one point during the movie, there's a drunken bar scene where she is really drunk, and she got so intoxicated that they had trouble shooting the scene. But that's probably one of the reasons that part of the film is so intense and so good. At one point, Natalie Wood had to perform a scene standing in a steel water tank that was used to film the skinny dipping scene near the Starr household. All this was done on a soundstage made to look like it was near the exterior shots of that property. She was so frightened during the shooting of this, even though it was in a controlled environment, this dark water scared her to death. And Robert Blake, her co-star, had to dive under the water and hold his breath to steady her legs so that she could perform the scene. I find it so ironic that she had this terrible fear of dark water, and that's how she ended up dying. She was somewhat America's sweetheart, and we had grown up with her. She was the little girl in Miracle on 34th Street. Then she was remembered because of Rebel Without a Cause, Splendor in the Grass, and West Side Story. I don't think we'll ever know what really happened that night on Catalina Island where she drowned. Many people think there's much more to it than we actually know. And her sister believes that she would have never tried to get in that dinghy by herself in the dark because she had always said numerous times that she was terrified of water, especially dark water or seawater. Go take a look at this film. I really like this movie. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.